Consistency isn't built in sudden bursts of motivation. It's built in the small, private decisions you make long before anyone sees the results. This audiobook takes you into the quiet moments where transformation actually begins, where everyday choices become the force that shapes your future. When you learn to show up for yourself with discipline instead of emotion, your actions start creating a version of you that doesn't depend on inspiration to keep going. Here, you'll discover how consistency strengthens your identity, sharpens your focus, and turns ordinary habits into extraordinary outcomes. You'll learn why some people rise while others stay stuck, and how the simple act of doing what you said you'd do becomes the fuel for becoming unstoppable. This isn't about working harder. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't break their own promise. Welcome to the journey where consistency becomes your greatest power, and your daily decisions become the evidence of the strength you're building. Discipline begins in the space where you stop negotiating with your own limitations. Excuses often rise from temporary emotions, but discipline rises from a deeper part of you that knows what you're capable of becoming. When you choose to ignore the voice that seeks comfort, you give strength to the voice that seeks growth. This shift changes how you use your time, your energy, and your focus. Growth demands commitment. Commitment creates the foundation of discipline. You learn to build discipline when you stop letting your feelings decide your actions. Feelings fluctuate constantly, but your goals remain the same regardless of how you feel on any given day. When you detach your actions from your emotions, your progress becomes steadier and more predictable. This stability creates confidence in your ability to stay consistent. Confidence strengthens your resilience. Resilience fuels long-term discipline. Excuses lose power when you expose the stories behind them. Most excuses are built from fear, doubts, or discomfort, yet they disguise themselves as reasonable logic. When you challenge their truth, they begin to fall apart. As the excuses fade, you gain a clearer view of your potential. That clarity brings direction. Direction supports disciplined action. Disciplined action moves you closer to your goals. Discipline is formed when you decide that your future matters more than your impulses. Impulses seek immediate satisfaction, while discipline seeks long-term transformation. When you choose transformation over comfort, your habits begin shifting. Each small shift strengthens the next. These shifts create a rhythm that supports progress. Progress becomes part of your identity. Identity influences everything you do. You step into discipline the moment you stop waiting to feel ready. Readiness is often a myth created by hesitation. When you act without needing the perfect mood or perfect timing, you break the cycle of procrastination. Breaking that cycle opens a new level of control over your own choices. This control strengthens your mental stability. Stability supports consistent behavior. Consistent behavior leads to mastery. Discipline grows every time you choose responsibility over excuses. Responsibility means accepting that your outcomes are shaped by your actions, not your circumstances. When you take ownership of your effort, external challenges become less intimidating. You rely on your inner strength rather than external conditions. That reliance creates confidence. Confidence reinforces your discipline. Discipline becomes your advantage. You build discipline by creating boundaries with your own distractions. Distractions can be subtle, but they pull you away from the commitments that matter. When you set mental limits on what steals your focus, you protect your progress. This protection keeps your attention aligned with your goals. Aligned attention strengthens determination. Determination keeps you consistent even on difficult days. Excuses fade when you understand that discipline is not about perfection, but about returning to your path each time you drift. Mistakes do not end your progress unless you allow them to. When you quickly recover from setbacks, you prove to yourself that nothing can derail you for long. Recovery builds inner strength. Inner strength supports long-term effort. Long-term effort builds unshakable discipline. Discipline becomes natural when you learn to appreciate the small daily efforts that often go unnoticed. These quiet actions form the backbone of your transformation. They don't feel dramatic, but they accumulate in powerful ways. With time, the results become undeniable and the habits become automatic. Automatic habits reduce resistance. Reduced resistance strengthens your momentum. Momentum carries you forward. Discipline begins where excuses end because excuses block the doorway to your potential. When you eliminate them, you step into a version of yourself that is grounded, focused, and committed. This version of you understands that growth requires consistency, and consistency requires discipline. When you honor this truth, you become someone capable of shaping your life intentionally, and with that power, your path forward becomes unstoppable. Progress becomes possible when you stop giving comfort more value than growth. Comfort offers temporary relief, but progress offers long-term strength. When you choose progress, you begin reshaping the pattern of your days, directing your energy toward actions that elevate you rather than soothe you. This shift changes how you respond to challenges because progress requires effort while comfort avoids it. Effort builds resilience. Resilience deepens your ability to move forward. Choosing progress requires you to recognize how often comfort disguises itself as a reasonable choice. It tells you to rest when you need action, to pause when you need movement, to wait when you need momentum. When you learn to separate genuine rest from avoidance, you start making decisions that support growth rather than delay it. These decisions influence your habits. Habits influence your outcomes. Outcomes shape your future. Progress strengthens when you develop the discipline to follow through, even when your mind searches for excuses. Excuses might promise ease, but they rob you of improvement. By acting despite resistance, you teach your mind that effort is your default, not an exception. This internal training changes how you see yourself. You begin identifying as someone who moves forward. That identity reinforces your commitment to progress. Choosing progress means accepting that some days will feel harder than others, yet the work still matters. Growth does not require perfection. It requires consistency. Even on difficult days, small actions keep your momentum alive. These small steps accumulate quietly, shaping a foundation that comfort could never provide. Over time, the small becomes significant. The significant becomes transformative. Transformation becomes your norm. Comfort is familiar, but progress demands discomfort because discomfort is the entry point to new abilities. When you willingly step into tasks that challenge you, you expand your emotional and mental capacity. This expansion shows you what you are truly capable of achieving. As capability grows, your confidence rises. Rising confidence encourages bolder efforts. Bolder efforts lead to greater progress. Choosing progress each day strengthens your relationship with accountability. You learn to hold yourself responsible for the direction of your life, rather than blaming circumstances or emotions. Accountability brings clarity. Clarity reveals the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Once you see this gap clearly, you naturally begin taking actions that narrow it. Narrowing the gap keeps you motivated. Progress thrives when you develop patience with the process. Comfort seeks instant gratification, but progress builds slowly and silently. Patience helps you appreciate the journey rather than obsess over results. When patience becomes part of your mindset, you no longer feel discouraged by slow movement. Instead, you see each day as a step forward. Each step reinforces your commitment. Commitment is what sustains growth. Choosing progress means understanding that growth requires sacrifice. You will sacrifice ease, predictability, and sometimes convenience. But what you gain is far more valuable: strength, discipline, direction, and purpose. These qualities shape the person you become. Becoming stronger internally allows you to navigate life with more confidence. Confidence fuels determination. Determination deepens your progress. Progress becomes a daily choice when you understand that every action builds a version of you. Choosing comfort builds stagnation, while choosing progress builds evolution. When you decide that evolving matters more than remaining the same, your decisions naturally support your goals. This alignment makes progress feel meaningful. Meaning fuels focus. Focus keeps you moving steadily forward. Choosing progress over comfort every single day is an act of self-respect. It shows that you value your potential more than your momentary emotions. It shows that you are willing to work for the life you envision rather than settling for the one handed to you. With each day you choose progress, you strengthen the foundation of the future you're building. And over time, that future becomes unshakable. Mastery is rarely loud or dramatic. It grows in the silence where steady effort meets unwavering patience. This quiet force works beneath the surface, shaping your skills through repetition and intention. Each time you show up, even when progress feels invisible, you contribute to the foundation that mastery rests upon. These invisible layers build strength. Strength becomes capability. Capability evolves into excellence. The quiet force behind mastery is consistency, the willingness to practice long before results appear. When you commit to your craft without expecting instant rewards, your mind shifts from craving recognition to embracing growth. This mindset frees you from pressure and allows genuine improvement to unfold. Improvement deepens your ability. Deepened ability fuels mastery. Mastery becomes the natural outcome. Effort transforms into mastery when you focus on refinement rather than perfection. Perfection demands flawless performance, but refinement encourages steady improvement. With each attempt, you learn something new about your process, your habits, and your potential. These insights guide your adjustments. Adjustments sharpen your skill. Sharpened skill moves you toward mastery. The quiet force thrives when your actions are guided by intention instead of impulse. Intention keeps your efforts aligned with your long-term goals. When your work has purpose, even repetitive tasks feel meaningful. This meaning sustains your motivation. Sustained motivation strengthens your discipline. Discipline lays the groundwork for mastery. Mastery develops when you learn to appreciate the small wins that comfort often overlooks. These tiny moments of progress may seem insignificant, yet they compound over time. Each step forward strengthens your confidence. Confidence encourages persistence. Persistence drives the journey toward mastery. The quiet force behind mastery becomes stronger when you embrace challenges instead of avoiding them. Challenges shape skill more effectively than ease ever could. When you lean into difficulty, you expand your resilience and deepen your understanding. This expansion pushes your abilities further. Expanded ability brings greater competence. Competence transforms into mastery. Effort evolves into mastery when you stop comparing your pace with others. Comparison distracts you from your own path, but focus keeps you moving steadily. When you honor your unique process, you allow your skills to grow naturally. Natural growth leads to authentic progress. Authentic progress solidifies mastery. Mastery strengthens when you allow patience to guide your expectations. Growth happens slowly, and impatience often interrupts the process. But when you embrace patience, you remove the pressure of deadlines and focus on the craft itself. This focus allows consistent improvement. Consistent improvement becomes cumulative. Cumulative progress results in mastery. The quiet force also emerges when you create space for repetition without boredom. Repetition is the backbone of skill development, yet many abandon it because it feels monotonous. When you view repetition as refinement rather than routine, your connection to the work deepens. Deepened connection enhances precision. Precision elevates your craft toward mastery. Mastery is not a sudden achievement. It is the outcome of countless moments where effort meets intention and patience meets persistence. It grows in silence, in small decisions, in daily commitments that few people notice. But through this quiet force, your effort transforms into something extraordinary. Mastery becomes not just what you do, but who you become. Small commitments carry a power that often goes unnoticed because their impact is quiet at first. They don't demand dramatic effort or grand gestures. Instead, they shape you through steady repetition. Each small promise kept reinforces your belief that progress is possible. This belief strengthens your willingness to continue. Willingness deepens your discipline. Discipline grows into lasting strength. Consistency in small commitments trains your mind to value follow-through more than convenience. When you honor minor actions, you prove to yourself that reliability is more important than momentary ease. This inner reliability becomes a foundation for everything else you attempt. With a strong foundation, larger goals feel less overwhelming. Less overwhelm encourages steadiness. Steadiness builds strength. Small commitments are powerful because they are easy to maintain even on difficult days. While big goals may feel heavy, simple daily actions remain achievable. By continuing these actions during low motivation periods, you reinforce resilience. This resilience accumulates quietly. Accumulation becomes confidence. Confidence leads to greater strength. The strength built from small commitments grows through repetition, not intensity. Each repetition refines your habits and teaches your mind that effort is a normal part of your identity. When effort becomes normal, resistance weakens. With less resistance, action becomes smoother. Smooth action supports momentum. Momentum strengthens your character. Small commitments help you develop emotional stability because they require discipline rather than inspiration. Inspiration can fade, but discipline holds steady. When you act without needing to feel motivated, you train your mind to work independently of emotion. This emotional independence increases reliability. Reliability becomes self-trust. Self-trust fuels extraordinary strength. Even the smallest commitments reveal your capacity for improvement. When you see progress from minor efforts, you realize that change doesn't require perfect conditions. It only requires consistency. This realization frees you from the myth that growth must be dramatic. Freedom from that myth empowers you to keep going. Keeping going builds strength. Small commitments work because they create predictable patterns. Predictable patterns reduce confusion about what you should do next. When your actions become automatic, your energy can focus on deeper goals. This shift from decision to action reduces mental fatigue. Reduced fatigue increases clarity. Clarity strengthens your discipline. Strength grows when your actions align with your values, and small commitments help maintain that alignment. Each tiny step reinforces the identity you want to build. Identity influences choices. Choices shape direction. Direction becomes strength when followed steadily. Small commitments teach you patience by showing that progress does not need to be fast to be meaningful. When you stay consistent without rushing, your capacity to endure increases. Endurance creates stability. Stability deepens confidence. Confidence becomes strength. The quiet nature of small commitments keeps pressure low, which makes them easier to sustain. Low pressure encourages continuation rather than burnout. As you continue, the effects multiply. These multiplied effects reveal your hidden capabilities. Recognizing your capability empowers you. Empowerment builds strength. Small commitments strengthen your resilience because they show you that you can succeed even in small ways. These small successes shift your mindset from doubt to possibility. Possibility fuels courage. Courage supports ongoing effort. Ongoing effort turns into strength. Strength grows when you realize that every action matters, no matter how small. This awareness encourages mindfulness, helping you stay engaged in your journey. Mindfulness enhances intention. Intention guides consistency. Consistency forms strength that lasts. Small commitments help you overcome procrastination because they lower the barrier to starting. When the task is small, hesitation loses its grip. Starting becomes easier. Easy beginnings lead to regular routines. Routines build discipline. Discipline strengthens your character. Your strength increases when you stop waiting for the perfect moment to begin. Small commitments allow you to start imperfectly yet effectively. These imperfect beginnings remove pressure from your progress. Without pressure, you focus on consistency. Consistency develops strength. The power of small commitments lies in their ability to reshape your self-image. When you repeatedly follow through, you begin seeing yourself as someone who finishes what they start. This self-image influences your expectations. Expectation shapes action. Action builds strength. Small commitments help you stay grounded because they anchor your day with purpose. When you complete them regularly, you reinforce a sense of stability in your routine. Stability reduces anxiety about your progress. Reduced anxiety increases focus. Focus strengthens your persistence. Strength grows when small commitments create structure in your life. Structure prevents randomness from controlling your choices. When your actions follow a clear pattern, decision fatigue decreases. With fewer decisions to struggle through, you conserve mental energy. Conserved energy strengthens your consistency. Small commitments also teach you the value of long-term thinking. They show that great outcomes are not built by intense effort once, but by steady effort often. This understanding shifts your mindset from urgency to commitment. Commitment creates emotional endurance. Endurance becomes strength. Strength becomes extraordinary when small commitments compound into large transformations. At first, the changes feel subtle, but over time, the difference becomes undeniable. These shifts shape your confidence, your habits, and your identity. A strengthened identity carries you into challenges with resilience. Resilience creates extraordinary results. Small commitments build extraordinary strength because they reshape who you are on the inside. They teach you reliability, discipline, patience, and perseverance. Each small action becomes a thread in the fabric of your character. Over time, those threads weave a mindset capable of handling anything. Through these quiet commitments, you create strength that others notice, but only you know how deeply it was earned. Staying steady in a world full of distractions requires a level of inner strength that isn't built overnight. The pull of comfort, comparison, and chaos can disrupt your direction if you aren't grounded in your purpose. When everything around you seems to shift unpredictably, your stability comes from what you choose to anchor yourself to. Anchoring gives you clarity. Clarity steadies your emotions. Steady emotions keep your progress intact. Life often tests your consistency by placing obstacles in your path. These challenges can shake your confidence if you allow them to dictate your mindset. Holding yourself steady means observing the disruption without becoming part of it. This separation keeps you in control of your actions rather than your reactions. Controlled actions guide your progress. Progress reinforces your strength. The world pulls you back through noise, opinions, and pressures that do not support your growth. People may doubt your goals, circumstances may shift unexpectedly, and routines may break without warning. Holding steady means choosing not to collapse under the weight of these influences. Instead, you maintain your direction with thoughtful intention. Intention shapes discipline. Discipline protects your journey. Steadiness grows when you decide that external chaos will not define your internal state. When you develop the ability to stay centered, you remove the power that circumstances once held over you. This centeredness helps you think clearly and act purposefully. Purposeful action reduces confusion. Reduced confusion strengthens consistency. Your ability to stay steady improves when you stop expecting the world to be stable. Nothing outside you remains constant, which is why inner stability matters so deeply. When your peace doesn't depend on your environment, challenges lose their ability to interrupt your momentum. This internal grounding becomes a shield that protects progress. Protected progress leads to growth. Staying steady requires understanding that setbacks are part of the journey, not signs of failure. When something pulls you off track, choosing to return without disappointment strengthens your resilience. This resilience becomes a reminder that you are capable of continuing despite resistance. Continuation builds discipline. Discipline keeps you aligned with your vision. The world pulls you back through old habits that try to return when you feel vulnerable. Holding steady means noticing these habits without falling into them again. By recognizing the patterns, you create distance between who you were and who you are becoming. This distance empowers change. Empowered change reinforces commitment. Commitment fuels consistency. Steadiness grows when you focus on what you can control rather than what you cannot. External events may disturb your plans, but your mindset remains your responsibility. When you control your thoughts, you control the meaning you give to experiences. Meaning influences behavior. Behavior shapes momentum. Momentum supports steadiness. You hold yourself steady by refusing to let temporary emotions make permanent decisions. Emotions come and go, but your goals are long-term. When you choose to act based on principle rather than mood, you create a path that reflects intention rather than impulse. Intention keeps you forward-facing. Forward-facing energy strengthens your discipline. Discipline keeps you moving. Steadiness forms when you develop the patience to keep going without constant validation. Not every step brings applause, and not every effort brings immediate results. When you learn to continue silently, you build strength that remains unshaken by outside approval. Silent strength builds confidence. Confidence anchors your path. Anchoring keeps you steady. The world can pull you back with doubt, both your own and that of others. Holding steady means trusting your progress even when it isn't visible yet. Trust creates a foundation of inner certainty. Certainty calms your anxieties. Calmed anxieties allow you to act with clarity. Clarity strengthens your consistency. You remain steady by focusing on daily actions rather than overwhelming outcomes. Big goals can feel heavy, but small actions create manageable movement. This manageable movement keeps you from feeling discouraged. When discouragement doesn't take hold, progress continues. Continued progress strengthens your stability. Stability becomes your advantage. Steadiness grows when you stop comparing your pace to someone else's. The world often pulls you back through comparison, making you believe your efforts are lacking. But when you stay aligned with your own journey, comparison loses its influence. This alignment renews your confidence. Renewed confidence supports effort. Effort builds momentum. Holding steady means protecting your focus from the distractions that try to dilute it. Social noise, expectations, and pressure can cloud your vision if you allow them to. When you filter out this noise, your path becomes clearer. Clear paths reduce overwhelm. Reduced overwhelm helps you stay consistent. Consistency strengthens your steadiness. The world may pull you back with sudden changes that disrupt your rhythm. Holding steady means adapting without losing your direction. Adaptation becomes easier when you view change as part of the journey rather than an interruption. This mindset reduces resistance. Reduced resistance enhances flow. Flow supports stability. Steadiness deepens when you learn to regulate your self-talk. What you say to yourself in difficult moments determines whether you retreat or move forward. Encouraging thoughts create emotional strength. Emotional strength supports persistence. Persistence helps you rise above the pull of old patterns. Rising above strengthens your discipline. Holding steady means reminding yourself why you started, especially when your path feels heavy. When your purpose stays close to your mind, distractions lose their grip. Purpose keeps you centered. Centering creates balance. Balance keeps you moving even when the world pushes in the opposite direction. Your steadiness strengthens when you treat challenges as opportunities to grow your consistency. Every setback becomes a practice ground for discipline. This outlook transforms obstacles from burdens into lessons. Lessons refine your character. Refined character builds inner power. Inner power makes you unshakable. Staying steady also requires honoring your boundaries. When the world demands too much, you protect your energy by choosing what truly matters. Protecting your energy prevents burnout. Without burnout, your consistency remains strong. Strong consistency keeps you rooted. Rooted individuals withstand external pressure. Holding yourself steady when the world pulls you back is about choosing inner alignment over outer chaos. It is the decision to remain committed to your path even when everything tries to turn you away from it. When you cultivate this steadiness, you become someone who progresses no matter the circumstance. And that kind of strength transforms your entire life. A daily routine becomes powerful when it stops being something you follow and starts becoming something you live through. Each action you repeat shapes a deeper layer of your behavior, creating patterns that support your goals without requiring constant thought. This shift removes the mental burden of decision-making and replaces it with automatic action. Automatic action saves energy. Saved energy fuels progress. Progress becomes effortless consistency. When your routine aligns with your intentions, it becomes a silent force working behind the scenes. You don't have to rely on motivation because your habits do the work for you. This reliability creates a steady rhythm that guides your growth. A steady rhythm reduces emotional fluctuations. Reduced fluctuations strengthen clarity. Clarity supports disciplined momentum. A well-built routine protects you from distractions because it gives your mind structure. With structure, your day is less likely to be shaped by impulse or external noise. Instead, you follow a path that reflects your goals. This path becomes familiar and comforting. Familiarity removes hesitation. Without hesitation, your actions flow naturally, forming an unbreakable advantage. Turning your routine into strength requires understanding that consistency matters more than intensity. Intense efforts are impressive but short-lived, while consistent routines reshape your identity. When your identity matches your goals, discipline becomes effortless. Effortless discipline reinforces commitment. Commitment deepens your advantage. Daily routines strengthen you because they turn important actions into non-negotiable behavior. When something becomes non-negotiable, it becomes part of your character rather than a choice. This shift eliminates internal debate and replaces it with certainty. Certainty fuels progress. Progress builds a sense of capability. Capability enhances your routine's power. Your routine becomes an advantage when it stabilizes your mindset. A predictable set of actions grounds your emotions and reduces the chaos of a busy life. This grounding helps you handle pressure with greater ease. Ease increases resilience. Resilience supports long-term growth. Long-term growth strengthens your advantage. Every repeated action in your routine becomes a reminder of your commitment to self-improvement. These reminders reinforce your confidence because they show that you can rely on yourself. Self-reliance creates independence. Independence strengthens inner stability. Stable foundations produce sustainable advantages. Turning your routine into strength also requires removing habits that drain your focus. When you eliminate unnecessary actions, you create more space for meaningful ones. This intentional design shapes your day around purpose rather than randomness. Purpose keeps your direction clear. Clear direction increases productivity. Productivity amplifies your routine's impact. A strong routine helps you stay calm under pressure because you know exactly what must be done. This certainty reduces stress and prevents overwhelm from controlling your decisions. When overwhelm fades, your performance becomes more consistent. Consistent performance builds mastery. Mastery solidifies your advantage. Your routine becomes unbreakable when you choose it even on days when everything feels difficult. Following through during low-energy moments strengthens mental resilience. Resilience becomes proof that you can handle discomfort. This proof builds confidence. Confidence enhances discipline. Discipline keeps your routine alive. Daily routines create momentum by linking each day to the next. Even small actions accumulate into meaningful progress when performed repeatedly. This accumulation builds a sense of movement that carries you forward. Forward motion reduces the urge to quit. Without the urge to quit, your growth becomes inevitable. Inevitable growth becomes your advantage. Routines also help you avoid the trap of relying on inspiration. Inspiration is unpredictable, but routine is reliable. When you stop waiting for the right mood to take action, your progress speeds up. Faster progress builds motivation. Motivation reinforces consistency. Consistency strengthens your routine. Your routine becomes stronger when you include actions that nourish both the mind and body. Balance keeps you from burning out, allowing your habits to remain sustainable. Sustainability increases longevity. Longevity deepens mastery. Mastery turns simple actions into powerful advantages. Daily routines teach you the value of repetition. Each repeated action sharpens skill and reduces resistance. Reduced resistance makes each step easier than the last. When ease increases, commitment feels lighter. A lighter commitment is easier to maintain. Maintenance builds strength. A routine acts as a filter that removes unnecessary noise from your life. When you follow a structured pattern, distractions have less space to influence your choices. Less influence means more focus. More focus leads to better decisions. Better decisions strengthen your routine. Your routine becomes an advantage when you become the kind of person who follows through without excuses. This self-image influences everything you do. When you see yourself as reliable, your actions reflect that belief. These actions build trust within yourself. Trust becomes stability. Stability becomes strength. Routines help you avoid the emotional roller coaster that comes from inconsistent effort. When your day has predictable anchors, your mind feels safer and less reactive. A calmer mind makes better choices. Better choices reinforce your discipline. Discipline strengthens your advantage. Building an unbreakable routine means choosing actions that support your long-term goals, even when they feel small. Small actions shape large outcomes when performed consistently. These outcomes strengthen your confidence in your ability to achieve more. Confidence drives ambition. Ambition multiplies your routine's value. Your routine becomes powerful when it turns into a lifestyle rather than a task list. A lifestyle supports growth naturally because it integrates discipline into every part of your day. When discipline becomes part of who you are, nothing can easily break your momentum. Momentum becomes your anchor. Anchored momentum becomes your advantage. Turning daily routine into an unbreakable advantage requires consistency, intention, and patience. Each day you follow your routine, you strengthen your identity, sharpen your focus, and deepen your discipline. Over time, these small efforts transform into extraordinary progress. Through this daily commitment, you build an advantage that few can match because it was earned one steady day at a time. Persistence reshapes your life because it teaches you to keep moving even when the path feels uncertain. Each effort you make becomes a signal to your mind that progress is worth the struggle. This repeated commitment changes how you view challenges, turning them from obstacles into stepping stones. As your perspective shifts, your strength grows. Growing strength transforms your daily decisions. Those decisions slowly redesign your entire lifestyle. Persistence works quietly, often without giving immediate rewards, yet it builds a deeper kind of confidence. This confidence comes from knowing you can endure difficulty without losing direction. When you learn that you can continue despite discomfort, your fears lose their influence. Fear no longer dictates your responses. With fear silenced, clarity grows stronger. Clarity guides your next step. Your life begins to change when persistence becomes part of your identity instead of something you force yourself to practice. When you see yourself as someone who keeps going, your behavior naturally aligns with that belief. This alignment creates a powerful internal rhythm. That rhythm fuels momentum. Momentum pushes you past barriers that once felt too heavy to move. Persistence reshapes your priorities by revealing what truly matters to you. When you repeatedly choose progress over distraction, you naturally filter out what doesn't serve your goals. This filtering creates space for meaningful actions. Space brings focus. Focus strengthens your purpose. Purpose becomes the center point of your daily life. With persistence, you stop relying on motivation because your commitment replaces emotional fluctuation. Motivation comes and goes, but commitment endures through fatigue, doubt, and resistance. When you act from commitment, your progress becomes steady rather than unpredictable. Steady progress builds trust in your direction. That trust keeps you grounded. Persistence teaches you patience in a world obsessed with immediate results. When you accept that meaningful change takes time, your frustration begins to fade. This acceptance frees you from the pressure of instant success and allows you to embrace growth at its natural pace. Growth at a natural pace feels more sustainable. Sustainability reinforces your consistency. Consistency shapes your transformation. Your daily routines become stronger through persistence because you repeat them long enough for them to become part of your nature. Once they become natural, resistance fades. Without resistance slowing you, your energy flows directly into your goals. This flow increases your efficiency. Efficiency deepens your discipline. Discipline strengthens your lifestyle. Persistence influences your emotional stability by teaching you how to hold your ground when life becomes overwhelming. Instead of retreating from pressure, you face it with a calm mind. A calm mind makes better choices. Better choices reduce unnecessary chaos. Reduced chaos creates internal peace. Peace allows focus to flourish. Your sense of self-worth grows when you persist through challenges. You begin seeing proof of your capability every time you continue, despite difficulty. That proof becomes a foundation for confidence. Confidence shapes the risks you take. Those risks open new doors. New opportunities emerge because you dared to persist. Persistence shapes your resilience by preparing you to handle setbacks without losing enthusiasm. When you accept setbacks as part of the journey, they lose their power to derail you. Instead of breaking you, they strengthen your determination. Strengthened determination fuels continued effort. Continued effort builds powerful results. Your environment begins to adjust to your persistence as people notice how committed you are. Some may admire your discipline, while others may feel challenged by it. Regardless of their reactions, your consistency sets a standard. This standard influences how you carry yourself. Your posture reflects your confidence. Confidence attracts new possibilities. Persistence refines your decision-making by eliminating impulsive behavior. You start choosing what aligns with your goals rather than what satisfies temporary emotions. These intentional decisions redirect your future. New direction brings sharper clarity. Sharper clarity creates stronger purpose. Purpose becomes your guide. Your mindset evolves each time you persist through mental resistance. Resistance often shows up as doubt, fear, or fatigue, but persistence teaches you to move through it instead of surrendering. This movement expands your mental capacity. Expanded capacity gives you a fresh sense of control. Control strengthens your inner power. Inner power shapes your attitude. Persistence reshapes your lifestyle by making effort feel natural rather than exhausting. When effort becomes part of your flow, you stop fighting the work and begin embracing it. Embracing effort reduces stress. Reduced stress improves your emotional balance. Balanced emotions help you stay consistent. Persistence influences the way you manage your time because you no longer waste hours on distractions that interrupt your progress. Instead, you create structure around what matters most. Structure builds discipline. Discipline improves your habits. Improved habits contribute to long-term achievement. Your goals become more achievable when persistence becomes a daily practice rather than an occasional burst. This practice shows you that progress is built through hours of commitment, not moments of intensity. As your commitment strengthens, your vision becomes clearer. Clear vision creates stronger intention. Intention shapes your direction. Persistence helps you break cycles that once held you back. Whether those cycles were emotional, behavioral, or environmental, your unwillingness to quit disrupts them. Disruption leads to renewal. Renewal gives you space to create new patterns. These new patterns form the foundation of the life you want to live. Your discipline grows naturally through persistence because each act of showing up reinforces your identity. The more you identify as someone who continues no matter what, the more your actions reflect that belief. Belief becomes a force. This force supports your growth. Growth reshapes your daily behavior. Persistence strengthens your emotional boundaries by teaching you when to say no to distractions, negativity, and self-sabotage. Each boundary you set protects your progress. Protection creates a sense of safety. Safety allows your mind to focus deeply. Deep focus accelerates development. Your ability to handle pressure increases as persistence becomes familiar. Pressure that once overwhelmed you now becomes a challenge you can navigate with strength. Navigating pressure builds courage. Courage supports new decisions. New decisions expand your life. Expansion becomes your reward. Persistence helps you understand that effort is not something you do only when things go well. It is something you maintain even through confusion, discomfort, and uncertainty. This understanding transforms your expectations. Transformed expectations reduce disappointment. With less disappointment, your path becomes clearer. You redesign your life through persistence because it removes the habit of quitting too early. When quitting is no longer an option, progress becomes the only direction available. This shift changes your mindset entirely. A changed mindset influences your choices. Those choices shape your future. Persistence builds strength in places where you once felt weak. It reinforces the parts of you that doubted your ability to continue. As you grow stronger, you begin seeing possibilities that once felt unreachable. These possibilities motivate further persistence. Motivation enriches your discipline. Discipline redesigns your lifestyle. Persistence redesigns the way you live by transforming your identity, your habits, your mindset, and your expectations. It teaches you that consistency, not ease, is what creates lasting change. Through persistence, you become someone who can build, endure, evolve, and conquer. Life stops pushing you backward because you have learned how to rise forward every single time. You rise into an unstoppable version of yourself the moment you decide that quitting is no longer an option. This shift creates a new identity, one rooted in perseverance rather than emotion. When you choose to move forward regardless of how heavy the day feels, your inner strength quietly multiplies. That strength supports your actions. Actions reinforce your mindset. Mindset shapes the version of you that keeps rising. Becoming someone who never stops requires embracing effort as a part of your daily life. Once you accept that effort is natural, you stop resisting the work that leads to growth. This acceptance dissolves hesitation and replaces it with certainty. Certainty gives your actions direction. Direction fuels movement. Movement keeps you rising. The version of you that never stops is built through dedication, not dramatic change. Dedication shows up in the small decisions you make throughout each day. These decisions create a pattern of reliability that strengthens your identity. As you become more reliable in your own eyes, confidence grows. Confidence stabilizes your discipline. Discipline supports your continual rise. Rising requires leaving behind the excuses that once felt comfortable. Excuses offer temporary comfort, but long-term regret. When you release them, your mind becomes clearer, and your path becomes easier to follow. Clear paths reduce confusion. Reduced confusion enhances focus. Focus helps you rise consistently. You grow stronger as you rise because each challenge becomes an opportunity to build resilience. Facing difficulty teaches you more about your capacity than avoiding it ever could. When you confront obstacles with determination, you develop emotional endurance. Endurance becomes your foundation. Foundations built on resilience make you unstoppable. The unstoppable version of you emerges when you stop tying your effort to your feelings. Feelings shift, but your goals remain steady. When you act independently of emotion, you build a deeper level of discipline. That discipline becomes a quiet force guiding your behavior. Guided behavior strengthens progress. Progress supports continued rise. Your rise becomes easier when you align your habits with the person you want to become. When your actions reflect your desired identity, change happens naturally. This alignment removes resistance and strengthens momentum. Momentum pushes you forward. Forward movement gives you strength. Strength fuels your rise. You rise when you stop waiting for the perfect circumstances and start creating movement with what you have. Perfect moments rarely arrive, but progress starts with what's available. Using your current resources trains your mind to work creatively. Creative effort leads to solutions. Solutions reduce setbacks. Fewer setbacks support your rise. As you rise, your expectations shift from hoping for change to creating it. You no longer rely on inspiration because you've built a habit of action. Habit-driven action becomes automatic. Automatic action strengthens consistency. Consistency transforms into power. Power sustains your rise. Rising into the version of you that never stops requires courage. The courage to face uncertainty without backing away. Uncertainty is unavoidable, but courage reshapes your relationship with it. When you act despite not knowing the outcome, your faith in yourself deepens. Deepened faith becomes motivation. Motivation keeps you moving. Your rise becomes more profound when you learn to regulate the thoughts that try to pull you back. Negative patterns lose control when you replace them with intentional thinking. Intentional thoughts create peace. Peace supports clarity. Clarity shapes decisions that help you rise higher. You rise when you develop the discipline to stay committed even when progress feels slow. Growth often happens quietly beneath the surface, long before the world sees it. By continuing during invisible progress, you train your mind to trust the process. Trust builds resilience. Resilience sustains effort. Sustained effort makes you unstoppable. The version of you that never stops learns to detach from outside opinions. People may misunderstand your path, question your commitment, or judge your pace, but rising means valuing your purpose over their assumptions. Purpose provides direction. Direction strengthens focus. Focus helps you rise without distraction. Your rise gains strength when you turn setbacks into lessons instead of reasons to quit. Every obstacle teaches you something valuable about your approach or your mindset. These lessons enhance your strategy. Strategy improves your results. Improved results reinforce your commitment. Rising requires embracing responsibility for where you are and where you're heading. Responsibility means acknowledging that your progress is shaped by your choices. When you own your decisions, you gain control over your direction. Control leads to confidence. Confidence fuels your rise. The unstoppable version of you appears when you stop shrinking to fit old versions of yourself. Growth demands expansion, and expansion requires letting go of identities that no longer serve you. As you release these outdated versions, space opens for your stronger self to emerge. This emergence feels empowering. Empowerment fuels momentum. Momentum keeps you rising. You rise when you understand that persistence matters more than speed. Fast progress can be impressive, but steady progress is transformative. Steadiness builds dependability. Dependability strengthens your inner foundation. Strong foundations support long-term rise. Your rise deepens when you choose discipline over impulse. Impulse leads to temporary satisfaction, but discipline leads to lasting growth. When discipline becomes your guide, your actions align with your long-term vision. Aligned actions build progress. Progress helps you rise with confidence. You rise higher when you stop seeing effort as a burden and start seeing it as a privilege. Effort is the gateway to transformation, and embracing it gives you access to your potential. When effort becomes a part of your identity, your growth accelerates. Accelerated growth reinforces belief. Belief strengthens your rise. The version of you that never stops develops emotional stability by choosing calmness over reaction. When you stay calm in stressful situations, your decisions improve. Better decisions move you forward. Forward movement strengthens your direction. Direction sustains your rise. You rise when you stop searching for shortcuts and start trusting the long path. The long path may be slower, but it builds deeper transformation. Each step strengthens your patience. Patience encourages consistency. Consistency shapes greatness. Greatness supports your rise. The unstoppable version of you forms when you honor your boundaries. Boundaries protect your time, your energy, and your focus. Protected focus enhances productivity. Productivity increases progress. Progress elevates your rise. You rise when you stop identifying with your past limitations. Past mistakes do not define your potential unless you allow them to. Rising means recognizing your capability now, not yesterday. This recognition changes how you act. Changed actions build new outcomes. New outcomes support your rise. Your rise becomes unstoppable when you view challenges as invitations to grow rather than threats to avoid. When you respond to adversity with strength, you rewrite the story you tell yourself. This rewritten story shapes your identity. Identity influences your discipline. Discipline keeps you rising. Rising as the version of you that never stops is a lifelong commitment to growth, resilience, and inner strength. It means choosing progress even when it feels heavy, choosing belief even when doubt whispers, and choosing action even when comfort tempts you. Through this commitment, you build a self that stands firm, moves forward, and never collapses under pressure. You rise because stopping is no longer who you are. Consistency is not just a habit you build. It becomes the force that shapes who you are becoming. Through each steady action, each choice to keep going, and each moment you rise above excuses, you create a version of yourself capable of far more than you once believed. The transformation doesn't happen in a single breakthrough. It happens in the quiet, repeated decisions that strengthen your identity from the inside out. As you move forward, carry this truth with you. Your power lies in what you do every day, not what you do once in a while. When you choose discipline over emotion and progress over comfort, you create a life that reflects your effort, your resilience, and your commitment. Consistency turns potential into reality, and reality into a future you can stand proudly within. Let this journey remind you that you are not waiting for the right moment. You are building it. Keep showing up. Keep choosing direction. Keep becoming the unstoppable version of yourself.